Have you guys ever wondered why people speak so differently, even when they are talking the same language?
Exactly. Some people say elevator as lift, and some people also pronounce water very differently, especially in British. They say water as water, while in America, they say water as water. Especially in Malaysia, there are so many different regional variation and dialects that is very interesting to see.
So, today, our group will explore dialects, accents, and regional variation to find out what makes our way of speaking so unique.
Let's start with dialects. What is dialect? A dialect is a variety of language spoken by a group of people.
Dialects can differ in pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar, but they are still part of the same language.
For example, in English, British people might say flat, while American people would say apartment.
And in Malaysia, people from Kelantan might say demo for you, while others say awak.
That's right. Dialect shows where you come from and are a big part of cultural identity.
Why dialect exists? Dialect exists because language change over time and people live in a different place. When group of people become separate by geography, history, or culture, their way of speaking slowly change. For example, in the UK, people in London speak differently from those in Scotland. Other example, in Malaysia, people in Kelantan speak different from those in Johor. These differences develop because of a local culture, contact with other language, and traditions. So, dialect are natural results of humans, diversity, and community identity. Why dialects matters? For me, dialects are important for culture. They show where we come from and connect us to our community. When people speak their dialect, they express pride in their background. Studying dialect also helps linguistics understand how language grow and change. In education, respecting dialects helps teacher make students feel valued and confident in who they are.
Meanwhile,
Next, let's talk about accents.
So accent is only about the word of pronunciation. It doesn't change the grammar or a meaning of the words.
For example, American says can't as can, while British still says can't.
So all dialect have an accent, but not all of the accent have a different dialect.
Why accent exists? Accent exists because people pronounce word differently based on where they come from, who they interact with, and what language background they have. When group of people live in different areas, their speech develops unique sounds. Accents also form because of geography. Distance and isolation create new speech patterns. History, migration and colonization spread language with different pronunciations. First language influence. People learning a new language keep some sounds from their mother tongue. So, accents are a natural part of how language evolves and how humans communicate differently.
So, why accents matter? Accents are much more than just the way we pronounce words. They are a part of who we are. Our accent can tell others where we come from, what language we grew up speaking, and sometimes even what community or region we belong to. In many ways, an accent carries our personal story and identity. For many people, their accent is a source of pride. It connects them to their roots, to their family, culture, and homeland. When someone speaks, you can often hear traces of their journey, where they have lived, the people they have spoken to, and the people that have shaped them. That's something beautiful because it shows the diversity and the richness of human experience. However, in some situations, people feel pressured to change their accents to sound more standard or somehow international. But it's important to remember that no accent is better than another. All accents are equally valid and meaningful. They are simply different ways of expressing the same language, which is English. For example, it's spoken in so many countries: Britain, the US, Australia, India, Malaysia, and the Philippines, and more. And every version has its own rhythm and flavor. That variety makes the language global and alive. When learning English or any other language, what truly matters is clear communication and not sounding perfect. Having a Malaysian, Indian, or Filipino accent doesn't make your English less good. What matters most is that people understand you and that you speak with confidence. So, instead of trying to hide our accents, we should celebrate them. Each accent is a reflection of culture, identity, and belonging. When we respect and appreciate different accents, we become more open minded, inclusive, and connected to one another. So, in the end, accents remind us that diversity in speech is just as valuable as diversity in people. And that's what makes our world more interesting and human.
Assalamualaikum to all of you guys and welcome to our mini podcast today. Today in Language Talk, we are going to be talking about how accents and dialects can affect how we communicate. And I have a few special guests here today. Yes, Aiman, Adham, and Irfan.
I've noticed that when I travel to different states, people use different word for the same thing. For example, in Malaysia, some people say air and other people also says ayam.
Yes, even tone and rhythm change. When I went to Kelantan, I found that the accent sounded more faster and more melodic.
That's true, and sometimes people think certain accents sound more cool and formal, but really, all the accents are equally valid. They just show where we come from.
Yes, I agree. Accent and dialect is not just any words. It's it's a part of who we are. It reflects our identity, showing where we come from and the culture that shape us. The way we speak can reveal our region, community, and even our family influences. It connects us to our roots and gives us a sense of belonging. Every accent carries history and pride, reminding us that language isn't just about communication, it's also about identity and heritage.
Yeah, exactly. I can't agree more with what you guys are saying. So dialects and accents aren't just about how we speak, how we talk, or how we communicate. They are about our identity, our belonging, our bloodline is in us, and it's our heritage. I'm gonna end this mini podcast right here and proceed with the next segment.
Now let's look at regional variation. How language change from one area to another.
Regional variation, including pronunciation.
Few moments later.
Now let's look at regional variation. How language change from one area to another.
Regional variation includes pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar differs depending on where people live on.
For example, people in UK, US, and Australia each have their own regional feature.
Even within one country like Malaysia itself, we have regional differences such as Kelantanese Malaysia, Perak Malaysia, and Kedah Malaysia.
Why regional variation exists? Regional variation exists because language changes depending on where people live. When groups of people are separated by geography, culture, or history, their way of speaking develops differently. This includes changes in pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar. For example, in the UK, people say lift, while in the US, they say elevator. In Malaysia, some might say lorry while others say truck. Both mean the same thing, but the words reflect regional identity. Regional variation happens because distance and isolation. People in different areas don't interact often, so their language changes separately. Cultural influence, local customs, traditions, and values affect how people speak. Contact with other language, mixing with other groups adds new words and styles to a region's speech. So, regional variation is a natural part of how language grows and adapts to its environment.
So, guys, what have we actually learned today?
A dialect changes pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar, while an accent only changes pronunciation.
A regional variation show geography and culture shape words.
Language connects us, and our differences makes it even more beautiful. Especially Kelantan. I like how they speak. I love how they speak.
Well, an American says can't as can, while British still says can. They can't. Aduh zila tu.
So an accent is not only sorry.
Variation, including regional variation includes pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar differs depending on where people live.